So here's my fish market versus the owner who takes orders. You can get anything you want, from clams to some favorites ordered yesterday. And it's small and very good. And he's a fisherman in Cascais.
Serve para fazer ao sala?
Exatamente. Cada são cortes no meio.
Ele é frio negativo?
Faz até -2.
Não, mas ele tem que fazer mais.
Depois nunca mais funcionou.
Ele fazia-te os -2?
Fez e faz já muito rápido. Só que no outro dia de manhã, quando cá chegaram, já não arrancava.
Ele faz os -2, para, arranca, teve assim bastante tempo.
No outro dia de manhã, quando eu cheguei cá, já não disparava, já não ouvias mesmo o motor a disparar. Só ligava aí a ventoinha, acho eu.
Sabes o que eu vou fazer? Pai, tu tens isto parado, melhor ainda. Eu vou-te sacar-te as borrachas. Estás a ver? Olha como é que elas só são de encaixe. E vou mandá-las fazer. Porque isto não pode estar assim, deve ser que eu coloquei todas as vezes, vou estar força.
Okay, so here's our robalo. And you can compare it to the dorado.
When you ask for that type of fish, do you have them clean it or?
I just have them clean it, take a little gulp.
Little cut?
Yeah, and they clean the head, but they do not take the scales off. That's the most important thing with the salt. It's a little bit different than the robalo, and we'll see if we can notice the taste. And we do this little gulp, this little tiny thing that you ask the fish side to do. And then I just like to clean them a little bit and put them in a dish towel.
Does it really matter which kind of salt you buy?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you even sea salt, you should get the thickest, more...
Sal grosso then,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm putting in 2 lemons.
Salt needs that water and the lemon juice to act as glue.
I like lemon juice. You don't have to use it.
Okay.
But you want the texture,
Great.
which is the hardest part.
So you have 3 kilos of salt in there, sal grosso, the thick salt.
Right.
And how much lemon juice did you put in?
I put in 2 lemons.
2 lemons. Okay.
And I put in about 1.5 cups of this little glass.
That works. It's
You
an
kind of have
exact
to
size.
guess. You know, I'm thinking it might need a tiny bit more.
Okay.
And there's really no other way to mix it except with your hands. But I
That's
washed them.
brilliant. They're kind of like the sand of the beach, huh?
Yeah. But you know the kind of texture of the sand where you're barely, you know, you're making a footprint.
Making a footprint. Okay, Cindy, once again, which one is which? I can
This
never
is a
remember.
robalo, and this is a dorado.
So the dorado is the fat one, then, and then
The
we have the
fatter
skinny
one. This, I believe, is sea bass in English.
Okay, fantastic. And what are you doing now?
So I'm putting a whole layer of salt, very thick on the bottom.
Okay, how thick is that? Is about a half-inch thick then, or so?
You kind of guess.
You kinda
Maybe
guess.
a little bit
Okay.
less. And the idea is that it's going to take the skin off the fish.
Brilliant.
So
okay.
you have to be...
So a layer on the bottom.
Now I'm going to stick the garlic inside the gulp.
Inside the gulp, okay.
And this one's going to fit actually better than the robalo in the pan.
Cool. And we're going to play around with some different flavors
Yeah, why don't
this
you
time, right?
throw a bay leaf in there?
Okay.
And
Right here
maybe
on
a
the side?
little... Sure, or it could be
On
that or on top of the
On
fish.
top of the fish, okay.
And a little bit of rosemary.
A little bit of rosemary on top of the fish as well?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, that's going to give great, great flavor.
And then we're going to cover him.
This just really reminds me of the beach.
Yeah, it's kind of like being a kid playing around.
And what other flavors have you used in the past?
That's about it. Just
it?
garlic, rosemary. I'm not sure anybody else uses lemon juice, but I like lemon. See, this is this is not what you want.
The mush on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as it's a bit firm. So that's going to form a hard shell in the oven?
It should form a hard shell, and then you should be able to take it off the fish, which removes the scales. Okay, this part of the salt is too wet, so you wouldn't want to use this. So I put a little bit too much water in it when I was mixing. It should be more like this. Okay, the crust looks pretty good.
So the fish got a bit of a crust then.
Well, that's the idea, and then you can go back. I'm going to cut through a little bit just so it's easier to do that.
Okay. So kind of outlining the fish.
A little bit, and then this one's really crusty. So this one turned out a lot better. I cooked it at a little bit lower temperature, and I've got a huge crust here which goes directly into the garbage sack. Now, again, some of the skin didn't come off, so I'll have to peel it. So we're going to get this guy out on a plate. Take this head away.
There it
Now
is.
he has a little bit of skin, so we're going to easily take that off because it.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Look at that.
Oh, that peels right away.
Rest of your head. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to take this salt off before I try to get this skin off. Okay.
Okay, so remember, when you go to the fish market, you need to tell your fishermen that you need to have fish done peixe ao sol. So rebaro ao sol, so they remember not to take off the scales.
And if you get a fish from a fish counter at a grocery store, and say you couldn't manage to explain that you wanted to cook it with salt, you wanted it arranged differently, if you just say normal, or if they ask you normal and you nod, what you're going to get is a fish just like this little fellow. He's got his tail trimmed, he's got his fins trimmed, and he's had his guts taken out, so he's got a slice in his belly with his empty guts. Also, they're going to take off the scales, which on an average day is a pretty nice thing to have had done to a fish, and he'll work just fine for this. A fish cleaned this way is going to have the big slice in his belly. So what you want to do is make sure you fill that with something. You can fill it with herbs, or what I've done is taken a lemon out of Miss Leslie's garden, cut it in slices, slice some garlic, and I'm just filling that cavity with my favorite flavor with fish is lemon. And then that'll keep the salt from going in his belly, and he'll have a lovely flavor, and já está.